and convince them. I think I know how to do that. But there's millions of people, and if you movies, you can get to millions of people in 1 month. So that's why I recommend movies.
Yeah.
I will show movies of how I got to be the way I am. I would show movies with things that I really didn't talk to you about, that man cannot think or reason. All that's bullshit.
Yeah.
And I show how the mind works, how we get to be creative, what creativity is. People write about it. The man is very creative. They're born genius. They have fantastic inheritance, or they're gifted. If a person's gifted, why give him a medal?
Yeah.
If you're born a mathematician, you know what I mean? Why honor them? Why have a beauty contest? The girl didn't make her face. It was made of mud, and she shaped everything. You can give her a medal, but if she's born that way, why honor them? So anyway, I began to dissect the culture all over the world, and they're all full of shit, all cultures.
Yeah.
So it's easy to say Fresco is full of shit in all the world.
Yeah. Okay, I noticed you're going to be 96 in 2012. 96 divided by 3 is 33. We touched upon that. We have 33 minutes left of battery, which means I need to give you a harder time now and ask you some more difficult questions, I think. And
Are you mad at anything?
No, but please don't get offended if I interrupt you as well, if when we're talking. Do you trust Peter Joseph?
We don't use that language in science. Trust. That's invented. Comes from religion, the history of civilization.
Let me ask you again. Do you trust Peter Joseph?
I know what you're trying to say. Only in the areas that are relevant. Is that clear?
That is clear.
The word trust is not used. Yeah. We say his knowledge of electronics is great, human relations poor, 30%, 10% in that area. Yeah. We have no such word as he's great. They're wonderful people.
Because I've been told that Peter Joseph is not his real name. Why would a person
he got death threats for his first film.
From the Christian right, from his first film, he had to.
I hope I get death threats from the Christian right.
He's a very nice guy, by the way, and he's sincere, but he didn't know what the factors were that shape human behavior.
Yeah, okay. Why do you think so many people think Peter Joseph is a paid big businessman, and that's how he got all this funding for his movie, and his movie Zeitgeist 1 got seen?
Joseph, and I know him personally since he's been over the house many times.
Yeah.
And he makes a lot of notes while he talks to me. He asks me thousands of questions like you're doing.
Yeah.
All the different questions.
Yeah.
Then he says, how can I help now? I says, you can help by studying more and speaking less and writing more about physical events rather than your own opinions.
Sure.
He says, you're right, thank you very much.
Okay, a friend of mine...
I also know Peter Joseph, and I knew at the time when he was making Zeitgeist Addendum, there were people who wanted to give him money to do it. He wouldn't take a penny because he didn't want to be under the thumb of anyone, so he could release what he wanted to release.
Sure. Okay, a friend of mine asked me to ask you about whether you have any opinions about Theosophy or Blavatsky, these people.
Blavatsky.
Yeah, and how this ties into your work.
She started Theosophy.
Yeah.
She was the high priest of Theosophy. Then you got the Ayn Rand's Objectivist. I read all that stuff for years.
Yeah.
And I can say that, is she a good person? Yes. Did she mean well? Yes. Was her ideas relevant? No.
Why not?
Oh, because she talked about things that no one really experimented on, that no one really had the ability to investigate.
Okay. If the Zeitgeist...
By the way, I want to tell you, there was a friend of mine who was an engineer, and he said, there's a Reverend May Taylor in California that has a church called the Church of the Living Dead. That's a name, I didn't name it. So she goes through the whole audience, says, you had a son killed, automobile accident, February the 8th, right down to everybody in the audience. And so I went to that church, because if that's true, then my system is limited. So I didn't sign the guest book. When you enter, you can sign the guest book. Now that's what they do with a lot of telepathists, soothsayers. When you sign the guest book, they say, have a seat, and they go back, see if they got anything on you. You go to the Hall of Records in a small town. You had a brother killed in an automobile accident February the 4th, and they build a record from the Hall of Records So when you come in and say, when you sign the guest book, the minute you sign, they go back to see if they have information on you. So I just want to tell you why. So I didn't sign the guest book, and she went over everybody in the church and skipped over me. But that doesn't mean that you can't do that. So I asked 10 friends of mine to go to that church and sit separately, but don't sign the guest book. I want to check her out if she's real. And she skipped over those 10 people. So what conclusions can I draw? You understand? Reverend May Taylor made millions. Okay? And I didn't like what I saw. Now the guy that sent me there was sincere, but he didn't know how it was done.
Why do you think so many people feel that the Venus Project and the Zeitgeist movement are so appealing to the elites and to the, I say in inverted commas, the New World Order, the kind of depopulationist, let's bring the world into a technologically advanced? Why do people on the internet associate Venus Project with the elite depopulation agenda?
Well, first of all, one world, according to General Motors, is their one world. According to the Federal Reserve and banking system, their idea of one world is with them in control.
Yeah.
See, that's the world that a lot of normal people don't know enough about the Venus Project, so they always liken what I say to communism or socialism or fascism. They'd call me everything. Now, communism uses money. Communism has banks, it has armies, navies, prisons, police, and government. We don't have any of those things.
It seems to me,
I'm trying
Jacque.
to tell you fast what the difference is.
It seems to me, Jacque, it would be impossible to bring in your vision because it would require 7 billion people, say over a period of 10, 15 years, to become nice at the same time. Because say we as British Americans, we decided, right,
I really understand that.
The Chinese,
I've heard
they would say, we can now take over the world. And they might overnight, if we decided to disband things and be nice, they could overnight enslave us. How do we make 7 billion people in the world see the same thing?
When we went to war with Nazi Germany, we sent Lindbergh to Germany first because he was honored as first man to fly the ocean. I don't know if you know much about him, but anyway, he came back and he had this to say to the Pentagon. They are turning out 3,000 planes a month in Nazi Germany. We had 600 first-class fighting aircraft. That's all we had. So the government sent special agents to all the aircraft factories and said, expand your factories to twice the size. We're going to be at war with Germany, Italy, Japan, and Spain. So we needed expansive production. So the aircraft factory owners had a board meeting and they said no, because after the war we'll be stuck with big factories, no orders for airplanes. The answer is no. So the government says we'll pay for it. That's public funds. So they borrowed money from the banks, created a super debt with the public funds.
War bonds and all the rest.
What's that?
War bonds. They sold war bonds.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
And they sold the public out. After the war, the American people owned 60% of American industry. And they gave it to them for 3 cents on the dollar. Gave it back to industry. Public doesn't know that. It's not in our school books.
Yeah.
As long as they don't know, what are you, some kind of foreign agent?
Yeah.
They got mad at me.
I
don't know if he heard your question.
Well, I'll move on to the next one. I personally, Jacque, I think civil society, because it is untenable that it will go on to the future, I think it will collapse.
Yeah.
My vision of the future is we will all fight it out. There will be a giant World War III, for better words, and God help us all. I don't believe in God, but God help us all.
I know.
And I think we've gone, since the agricultural revolution, the wrong way.
I think what you're just saying has a higher basis of probability than the Venus Project.
Yeah.
But I can't accept that.
But the reason why I think...
You understand that?
I understand.
I can't accept it. So I'm going to do everything I can possibly do, and Roxanne, and the people that support it, to change people. If it fails, it fails. I'm not an idealist that thinks the Venus Project will be accepted by people. That I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't take everyone to make this happen. Most people want to know what's in it for me. And if things did collapse, if there